Today I'm chatting with Brooklyn Smith of Brooke Knows Best. She honed her craft in professional organizing as she grew up with 5 younger siblings and had to find creative ways to make spaces work. Now she's a single mom who brings judgment-free, supportive energy into each client's space. She's all about customized solutions for her clients. You won't find any cookie cutter systems here. Welcome to the show, Brooke.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Melissa. Just the best intro ever. Thank you. I feel so official.
Right? I know whenever I read it, people are like, I need to carry you around with like a little megaphone in my pocket to just announce you wherever you go.
Honestly.
So, Brooke and I actually met on Instagram. I found her, I think, originally through Facebook, and she's in a bunch of the professional organizer Facebook groups, as most of us are when we're kind of, building our businesses, asking for advice, getting feedback on certain things. And what I absolutely love about this girl is she tells the freaking truth. She lays down the facts. It is always real talk with you. And so I'm so excited to see what we kind of chat about today.
Absolutely. I'm super excited.
Yay. Okay. So tell us about yourself and what called you to get into this field. How did you discover pro organizing and what kind of brought you here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I found it like a lot of others did, kind of by accident or stumbling upon it. I've been kind of organized my entire life. I was in a million different extracurriculars in high school. And then, as impulsive as I am, I joined the military at 17. And then I did administrative and logistics for mechanic maintenance type things. And then I just finished my 7-year contract like on in Christmas this past year. And so since I was in the National Guard, what I did for my civilian side was I did childcare, and then I shifted into the private sector with nannying and home management. And then that's when I kind of just, I don't even remember, I think somebody said the word or something, and I was like researching that right now. And then boom, like 600 Facebook groups. And then once I got back from deployment last year, I basically just cold turkey went right into it full time. I actually did the last 2 weeks of my deployment. I would work 12 hours in the warehouse, drive from Indiana to Chicago to take a client, and then drive back that same night, wake up 3 a.m. the next day because I'm a little crazy. When I say it out loud, it sounds kind of insane, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, first off, thank you for your service. That is amazing.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations on being done and you're, serving through the end of your contract and now going full time. Like, what a total shift to go from probably working around a bunch of scruffy dudes and like, following all the orders. Talk about leaving a full-time job. Like being tied into all of those structures and rules and systems, and now to have this freedom of being your own boss. How has that transition been?
Honestly, it's been the most liberating thing ever. I definitely found myself butting heads when I was in the daycare with people because I'm very passionate about whatever it is that I'm spending my time doing. So I was like, I care more about the kids than corporate. I'm going to go be a nanny. And then parents were telling me what to do. And then I figured out that the whole home management part was more what I enjoyed. And as far as the military goes, I basically ran the parts department. So I was able to be a little bit more in charge there. But once I switched over to the organizing piece, I was like, wait, people listen to me and I can tell them how to run every aspect of their life. And that's what I'm getting paid to do. Sign me up. Yes, please. And now it's kind of like I get to micromanage, but on purpose. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, no, and I love that too. I think like so many women that I hear that are in this industry have that story where they're like, I'm unemployable, I've been fired a billion times in my life, I don't take no for an answer, I'm headstrong, I'm strong-willed, all of these things, which are amazing qualities to be an entrepreneur. Like, hello, duh, this is
Right.
the field for you, clearly. So how did you come up with your business name? I love it because it's so simple, yet like it makes me automatically trust you right off the bat. Brooke Knows Best. How did you come up with this?
So, actually, back when I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos on how to get organized for like like planner, like creative planning and stuff like that when I was pregnant. I came across a YouTuber that's my mentor, Elaine Michelle, and she's Elaine Michelle Studio on YouTube. And she coached me for a few sessions on like a mommy vlog channel or something like that. And then she came up with the rebranded name Brooke Knows Best. And then I just took it and ran with it, and I haven't changed it since. And so it went from a YouTube name to my business name. And I could not even take credit. It's like the best name ever. There's one other Brooke Knows Best anywhere on the internet, and it's with an E, and it's like Paris Hilton something, whatever. But I'm waiting to buy the rights to that eventually because I will be the first result, not some 2001 TV show.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I remember that show. Actually, now that you just said that, it was Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. You just brought me back to like 03 or whatever the heck that was. Oh my gosh.
And so does
how
Google
funny.
anytime someone searches.
I love it. Oh my God. Well, thank God you have a no E at the end, right? So at least it's a little bit differentiated. But yeah, like you said, hopefully you'll come up as the #1 search result. We talk a lot about that in my programs, is like, don't pick a business name that 5,000 other Instagram handles already have. Like, yes, I know you want the name, simplified organizing. Okay, how many freaking simplified organizing brands are out there right now?
Pretty much almost, if you have organizing in your name, then it's just, it's helpful to pick something that's either a play on words, just any name for a business in general. It's like a play on words, something that is identifiable to you, that like separates you out from whatever else is out there, just because people are going to buy into you and your brand. It just makes the branding process easier, honestly, than it is to try to explain the name.
Yeah. And just before we jumped on, I know we were chatting about like Brooke Knows Best could transform into so many different things. It could be nannying, it could be home management, it could be pro organizing, it could be nutrition coaching, personal training. Like, it's so many things. Same with my LLC is Make Shit Happen LLC. Make Shit Happen is always going to be my thing. Like, that's always, no matter if I'm writing a book or doing a podcast or opening a gym, like, who knows what, this will turn into.
Transferable names are great because it doesn't matter. Like, even with your name, Make Shit Happen, you could be like, make moving happen, make packing happen, make, just random like that. And I'm like, Brooke Knows Best, Brooke Knows Clean, Brooke Knows Moving. Things like that, thinking like long term, how can I shift this into different departments as they get bigger and need to be broken up as separate entities? So it's always good to have something that's flexible, that's still identifiable.
Yes. And with your brand fonts and colors and logo, I know your website is absolutely amazing. So guys, if you, we'll say it again at the end and I'll put it in the show notes, but if you want to check out Brooke without an E, BrookeKnowsBest.com, her website is like thebomb.com. It is so clean and fresh and professional. And like, I pride myself. Yeah. Oh my God. It's amazing. I pride myself on like building my little Wix website that looks like it's from 2015 now, because I'm not a web designer, right? It's like, outsource what you're not good at. So how did you make this amazing website?
So I basically started out like I did with everything, like, I'm gonna figure this out. And then I immediately figured out, I'm like, if there are some things that I'm not gonna do, it's like accounting and website. I don't have hours and hours to do web design. So I found somebody on Upwork to make my original website. And then eventually I switched over to a marketing team called Town Square that is more all inclusive. They do my website, my business email, they host everything, unlimited updates within 24 hours, just all running in the background. I don't have to touch it, SEO and all that fun stuff. So I'm like, I'm going to pay for it, I better not have to look at it.
Yeah. And then hopefully they send you, like a shiny report at the end of every month or end of every quarter. And they just say, hey, here's all your analytics. Here's who clicked. Here's who viewed. Here's how long they were on the site, all the things. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. I just love your branding. I think it looks so buttoned up, and the pink and the black is really, it's fun and it's different, because I think a lot of times, same with like the business names that everybody and their mother has, the branding is a lot of like white and black because you're a minimalist, and then like a teal and a
colors.
White. And yours was like black and pink, and mine's like black and yellow. So I think it kind of shows our personalities a little bit more too, because we're a little more like non-sugar coated.
Exactly. And honestly, when I was originally starting out, I was like, I don't know what my niche is going to be, but I did know that I wanted to break into the luxury market. So basically, from the very beginning, I was like looking up luxury branding. What's that? It's usually dark muted colors. And then that's kind of where I got the fonts as well. Something that looks very, very classic, very like old money. Basically, I just Googled old money to see like what kind of fonts came up. Very like, home staffing agencies usually have something similar to that. And then I made the bottom part clean and more recognizable to modernize it a little bit. But that a lot of thought went into that because I was like,
Yeah.
let's be mysterious, or at least what I thought was mysterious.
I love the B. I mean, it feels like I'm entering like the gates at a country club or something. So like I totally see how you did it. Yeah, it's perfect. And on that same note, okay, so you knew that you wanted to break into the luxury market, which is smart, right? Because these people have money to pay and aren't gonna, dick you around on pricing and like tell you that you need to go down in price, or you need to cheapen yourself or not know your worth and all the things
Right.
that new organizers typically go through. So what are your favorite types of clients to serve? Like if you had a niche, what would it be?
So my niche would be custom, custom, and more custom. I found that it worked better for me to, instead of target a certain age range or like demographic per se, like, oh, parents, or at one point I was trying to focus on new mothers, and I just found that based on my data, it made more sense to find the people that are customizing everything in their home. They want to be very particular in how they want it. And yeah, maybe they look on Pinterest or something like that. But specifically, I'm looking for people that don't want to touch it at all. Like the purpose of paying somebody is to not have to deal with it, kind of like I am with my website. So everything is done in-house, and the laundry list of scope is kind of ridiculous for what I offer. It's basically like hire one person, you can go to work, and when you get back that'll be done, or I basically live at their house for a month. So it's people that will give me their full trust up front. I have complete control of the project beginning to end, and it's completely customized to each person. So those are kind of my three things. Usually, at that price point, that type of person that wants custom is ready to pay for custom. They are explicitly not looking for cookie cutter or whatever else is out there.
Yeah, they don't want, see, when I organized, I was in business for almost 10 years, and I live in a super fun state in California where laws have changed and things like that, hence the pivot to coaching. But when I was organizing, I always tapped into like that middle class market and not so much like the luxury market. But I always worked hand in hand with my clients, where we were going through the boxes of clutter, going through the boxes of mail together, going through all the junk in the garage together. So I'm curious how I always wanted to be able to do like more so the luxury organizing. And as you said, not so many people want to like be home for that, or even be a part of getting messy in a dirty garage or whatever, right? Or going through expired foods in a pantry or whatever. It's like they don't have time for that. They have, bigger things to be doing. So how do you balance like doing that on your own? Like, do you just make the decisions and that's where like that full trust comes in for you? Like, tell me more about that.
So there's a couple of main pillars that I try to present myself like as a person when I'm doing like consultations and things like that. It's one, being super confident and knowledgeable, even if nobody's gonna know everything about everything, but the things that I know or have a draw for specific items, I go into extreme detail and I give value from the very beginning, because the people I'm targeting aren't going to copy and paste in DIY. That's not the point. The next thing is that, geez, I lost my train of thought. What was the question again? Gosh,
Like,
I have ADD. I get completely distracted.
That's okay. How do you balance helping clients when they're not there? Like the done for you service.
Yeah. So the done for you, it's like from the very beginning, establishing dominance. Usually I'm working with a lot of people that are the dominant figure in their life. They're, the breadwinner. They're making a lot of decisions on the executive level, and they do not want to be bothered with tchotchke decisions in between. So I come in, I'm like, brain dump everything you want onto me. I don't care what order it's in. Walk me through your house, the reason you brought me here last. Take a bunch of notes. I tell them, okay, this is the solution that you're asking me for. not necessarily telling them how I'm going to do it. I'm like, this is what you're asking me for. In order to do everything right here, it'll take me approximately X amount of weeks or X amount of months, and it's going to cost you this one bid price. Do you want the solution you're asking for? Yes or no? I make it as simple as possible. They don't need to be doing math. They don't need to be asking questions. And that way I know that if they're willing to do that and trust that I'm going to get it done, then that's a client I want to work with. If somebody starts not even necessarily nickel and diming, but asking about small details, they're not for me because I need to have full trust because I cover it end to end. So if I have the trust, it's easy and I do it and I cover it. I basically walk around with a bunch of house keys on my on my car key ring. And then if I don't have the trust, I turn down projects because it's not going to be a benefit to either one of us.
That's so interesting. It's such an interesting like lens of pro organizing to me, because I think every woman listening to this wishes they had that confidence and that level. I love that you use the word dominance, because like you said, these people are sick of having to manage every single little thing within their home. They already manage enough at work, in their careers, if they're a business owner, if they're an executive, whatever, if they're a mom, if they're a father, all of the things, right? And so the last thing that they want to do, I love that you called it like tchotchke, tchotchke decisions, because it's like the small little granular stuff that they just don't want to deal with, and they want to outsource it. And so that takes such a level of confidence to walk into that space with like, your shoulders high, you're poised, you're confident, you're brave. And so where did you get that? Like how did this come about?
So honestly, here's the secret. So it's part military and it's part of just me winging it for a year. So on the military side, it is like it's drilled into us to make a decision. Whatever the decision is, whether it be wrong, like just make a decision. That skill is super important, and it's a muscle that has to be built up, and to not be hemming and hawing about things. And the secret to kind of what I've figured out is I ask a ton of very specific questions. My consultations can get up to 4 hours long. It's a complimentary consultation because I vet before I ever get there. But I ask a lot of questions, take a lot of notes, and I just regurgitate to them what they're asking me for. So at the very end, I'm just like, and so to do this, and I'll just sit there and it's supposed to sound overwhelming. And then I say, and I'll take care of all of that. And this is how much it's going to cost. That literally I will take care of all of it. All I'm doing is telling you what you just told me, because some people don't hear how much they're asking for. I'm telling you exactly what you're asking for. And then I'm also kind of translating a little bit to like, you think you know what you want, you don't really know. This is actually what you want. Yeah. And then I will take care of it. You don't have to touch anything, because this has been such an extensive consultation. I've got all of your micromanage, like, because this even works with people that are like super anal and super like want to be in control, but really they don't have time to be in control. I just let them talk, honestly. Let them talk, regurgitate it back to them, and then be like, okay. And then I got it. They just want to know that, just like anyone, they just want to know that they were heard, and that they heard every single detail being said back to them, and then I'll take care of it.
Yeah. And those words are probably just like, God sent like, an angel down from heaven, and they're like, oh my God, you can help me. Yeah.
I've seen people like literally go in their chair. Like, it sounds dramatic, but it happens just because it's, it's not even, I'm not even coming up with stuff. I'm literally just telling them what they told me, and they're like amazed at listening skills. It's very simple. Like, it gets very basic. Honestly, I'll just keep beating a dead horse, because honestly, that is really all it is. Like, it's not as complicated as it wants to be.
Yeah. And I think that's consultations number one. Like, part of what we cover in my programs is how to like close your first sale, how to get your first paying client, how to do the phone consultation so that it turns into a booked and paid service that you can then go to and, utilize those natural gifts and talents that you need to be serving the world with to like fulfill your own purpose. Right. And I think people get so caught up in that, and they're like, wait, so all I have to do is listen to their whole life story, because typically it's the whole life story of like, there's a death, there's a kid, there's a birth, there's a whatever, right? There's always something, a divorce, widow, whatever it is, a car accident, an illness. Yeah. Like, believe me. So I know, this, like with the long stories, and it's like, so all I have to do is just listen, tell them where they are, build that rapport, and then fill the gap
Mhm.
for them, like show them where they could be. And then they see that gap and they're like, oh my gosh, so I'm on this bridge on this cliff way over here, and I see like the promised land over there, but it's across, you
Right.
know, a big moat and a big, you know, scary river, and I don't know how to cross it. And you're like, hey, I'm the bridge. Let me be the bridge to get you over there. And then you get booked. That's awesome.
Exactly. Um, yeah, it really is. Anything I don't know, I'm like, I have a guy for that. Like, I don't even like, it's okay to not know everything and to tell them that you don't know everything, but you have an expert for it. Like, I don't do plumbing, electrical, or any structural changes that have to do with drywall. I have 2 general contractors that I work with, and I have a guy that does remodeling. So it's just a matter of, even if it's like just Xing out anything that could come up or that might need to go with it, it's just like, no, worst case scenario, if I don't know, I got somebody and I'll book them
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I loved doing that and organizing too, because a lot, I mean, I'm 5 feet tall and I'm a female, and yes, I'm strong and, you know, ex CrossFit athlete and all the things, but I don't want to be moving really heavy junk and like loading stuff off to a dump. Like, that's not part of what I would do. So I would definitely outsource to junk removal companies, estate planners. Like, if there's been like a death in the family, or you need to hold like a really
Mhm.
big garage sale if you're getting ready to sell a home. Also, stylists. I loved working with personal stylists because a lot of times they would come in and want to like consign.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then you could consign, and then the client was like, oh, and I'm making a little bit of extra money back. And, you know, so never be afraid, for anyone listening to this, to do exactly what Brooke just said: outsource what you're not good at. I always call it like damned if you don't delegate. If you try to take on the weight of the world and be the pro organizer and the personal chef and the nanny and the housekeeper and the, you know, all the things, you're going to burn out
Mhm.
really quick. So make sure that you delegate what you're not good at.
Oh, yeah, and honestly, even, like, it's not even that you have to, like, tack on billing through the process. You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna invoice you for that." I don't invoice for anything. Like, the more that you do, like, you network and stuff like that, people are like, "Oh, I wanna network and just meet somebody to get a referral." Honestly, use that networking to understand what's their pricing structure, what's their ideal client, get a better sense on a daily basis where off the top of your head you can know, okay, if I need to outfit this closet, and we're talking like Container Store level, Target level, dollar store level. If they're a Container Store level, which is hashtag no budget, I'm like, okay, boom, $600. I know what that is off the top of my head just from research. Or they want this remodeled or that remodeled or whatever, then the quicker you can come up with that number of how much you're going to have to pay the vendor to do that, then bundle it all together, and then they don't have to vet anybody or see anybody or do anything, but it doesn't have to be somebody inside your company either. So definitely worth research on inventory and other services for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it does make such a difference to network within your local communities. I know for a while I was in BNI, which is like a huge, you know, business networking international group. I wouldn't join it again, you know, just if anyone came to me and wanted to know about that. But I think your network really is your net worth, and I think even if those
Mhm.
are, you know, people that are in a Facebook group in your local community, or people that you meet up with for coffee once a month after your church meets
Mm.
and they're all business owners or whatever, you know, there's so many places to
Oh
tap
yeah.
in and to plug into those networks. So on that same note, I know that we both have strong feelings about NAPO. And speaking of associations and speaking of networking, I want to know how you did this, where you're very loud in these Facebook groups, as am I, about not telling women that they have to join NAPO, not telling women that they have to have a certification, not telling women that they have to have an acronym after their last name in order to be credible in the eyes of any sort of client that's going to hire them. So let's just spill the tea and tell me all about your feelings on this.
Oh yeah, for sure. So first and foremost, 80% of men will apply to a job if they only have half the credentials. Women don't do that at all. It's like not asking, just in general, it's like not asking for your pay because it's like, oh, thank you so much for just considering me for this position. Like, no, like most women don't even apply to a job if they don't have every single credential. So it's honestly a misogynistic and patriarchal concept that's now leaked over into really a space that should be more and can be more encouraging. Not that there aren't, male professional organizers, But it's like, and I really do think some people have the most, the best intention. It's that entire generation where it's like they went to school, they got a job, they worked the job for 40 years, and then they retired. Well, that's not the world that we live in anymore. And if you literally don't need a certification to do it, don't tell someone that they can't start it, that they're going to harm somebody just because they don't have a piece of paper that, one, nobody's ever going to ask for. And two, that's just another barrier being put in place to that really is more of a hindrance to female entrepreneurship than a help. Like, oh, do this thing so you can do this. It's like, no, just do it. And
Yeah.
that's that. Like, that's it. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's so interesting, these, I like to call them Karens lovingly, that are in these groups, because it's
Yes.
it is a very old kind of crotchety, if you will, sentiment towards other women of, I don't believe you that you did this without a certification. I don't know, this and that. And you'll get comments and it'll say, so what do you
Mhm.
tell clients when they ask you about your certification? I'm like, do you really think that the 250 clients that I and my team helped in 2018 alone, one of them even asked for any sort of certification, or even, I mean, hell,
People don't even know what it is, honestly. Like
no.
90% don't even know it existed, because guess what? Half the people that are professional organizers didn't know it existed until like the year they started doing it. So
Yeah, it's
it's
not a
just,
thing. It's not a
it's
thing. And
not like,
with the business license thing too, like, yes, you need a business license, and yes, you can go to your local, county government to figure out what you need
mhm,
and which permits you need. And in California, we have an amazing resource called calgold.org, which is awesome, because California is a very complicated state to do business in, let's be honest. But there's there's
yeah,
there's resources. There's SCORE. I'm a volunteer for SCORE, which is powered by the U.S. Small Business Administration, and you can link up with a mentor for free. They would love to help you. They're usually in their 80s, and they'll tell you, you need this permit or this
right.
license, or they'll give you recommendations if you're trying to set up an LLC or an S corp, or just go sole prop. Like, they'll tell you what to do. But when it comes to the actual CPO or joining NAPO or paying an arm and a leg for membership, when you don't need to be getting into debt before you're even making a profit. And I think so many women are like, in order to be a professional organizer, I need to join NAPO, and I need to, pay this $300 membership fee that's going to give me jack squat, but it's going to make me be able to put their logo on, my website. It's just
Right.
bonkers.
Like, you want a logo on your website, do Home Advisor or something, and it'll cost you a lot less money. You're getting clients from whatever you're investing, and they give you a bunch of fancy stamps you can put on your website. And honestly, I have all of them. They're still not on my website because I don't really care. But it's like, it just like coaching, right? And so, like, you're a coach, so you get it. It's like you really only need to know 10% more than the person that you're trying to help, because you get much more than that, you have this huge gap, and it's kind of hard to still relate. Well, it's the same thing with organizing. People are like, well, I'm organized for me, but like this other person, I'm like, yeah, because it comes naturally. It feels like you're not doing anything. Joe Schmo over here doesn't know how to put two and two folders together. So don't do them the disservice of not reaching out to help them and connecting with someone that can really benefit from the gifts that you've been given, just because of imposter syndrome. And like, I'm not a stranger to that either. I have no college degree. I dropped out of college because of a sexual assault, and I'm very open about that because I feel like it needs to be something that not is normalized and that it's okay, but normalized in being able to talk about that. So I dropped out of college. I worked for a super scammy sales company and got basically down to pennies. They controlled everything in my life. And then I joined the military. It's the only thing I've ever completed. Don't have any certifications, don't have anything else besides just straight up life experience and a bunch of, life altering and lessons learned. I'm hard headed. I do everything the hard way. So it's great. But honestly, like, that's all you need is some passion, some just I mean, do risk assessments, but honestly, just do it. Don't sit there and, analysis paralysis, because that doesn't tell you anything until you have data. You don't have data till you do something. So
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Get off the fence, take messy action. Especially if you're a
yes.
dude, being on the fence is an uncomfortable place to be. So get off, take action. Action cures fear, and don't wait for the certification. Don't wait to join an association. Don't wait. I just, it kills me to see so much talent go to waste And
Mhm.
it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. It's a little bit of comparisonitis. It's a little bit of wanting to do the right thing. I think as organizers, we're all a little bit OCD, a little bit overachiever, a little bit perfectionistic, a little bit type
Mhm.
A. And we want to be good, right? We want to do right. We want to
Mhm.
be good. We want to check all the boxes. We want to make sure that everything's perfect before we birth it out into the world. And that's not what business ownership is. That is
It's
not what
not.
it is.
You
It's
ask
nothing.
anybody, Fortune 500, they will tell you that it was a shit show and still is for everyone. Even the ones that are like super, super successful, even like Bill Gates and stuff, they're like, dude, I'm still winging it. What's up? Like, what do you mean? Did I figure it out? Like, I can tell you how to, not do some of the mistakes I made, but honestly, they'll probably tell you to make those mistakes because then you really learn not to do them again. You start making
Yeah.
4 or 5 digit mistakes, and then you got to be like, well, at least it wasn't a 7 digit mistake. You just kind of, even you got to think about stuff not in like the short term, but like long term. I would rather make a $4,000 mistake now and having gone for it and gotten the experience and learned how all things can go wrong than another year from now when I'm in 7 figures and make a 7 figure mistake when there's other people working, more people working for me and their lives are, on the line about that. So,
Mhm.
I don't even call them failures. It's just like make the mistakes so that you know that they exist.
Mhm. Yeah. And fail forward and pick yourself back up and learn again and learn again and learn again. Because for every mistake you're going to have, you're probably going to have 10 more of those before you have a win. And
Oh yeah.
it's, the ultimate lesson, I think, in self development and in personal development and in leadership development. And it's like, if you want to go to school, go to the school of owning a business, because that is going to teach you more than any book, any class at college, any therapy session. Like, it will literally teach you so much about yourself.
Right. I mean, business school, they still like anybody going to business school, that is great and super for them. They're still going to have to start at ground zero to get experience. People care so much more about experience these days than, necessarily a degree. Because honestly, at this point, if you want to go the degree route as that being your leg up, you better start with a PhD. Because like air quotes, if you're listening, everybody has a bachelor's. It's like not even that cool anymore. It's not the hype unless you go into a field where you have to be certified, like the medical or legal and things like that. But it's just like, I don't know, just keep going until something goes wrong, and then you're like, okay, whoops, and you just like
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah. And that's the idea of pivoting too, is, don't be afraid to just get started, because believe me, when I started, I had no idea I was going to write a book or start a podcast or create a course or be coaching other people how to do this. Like, I didn't know how to do this half the time myself 5 years ago. Look what has happened and look what evolved, because I just took those baby steps and I took that messy action to get here. Same with you. I can't believe that you've only been out of the military for, 7-ish months at the time of this recording. And like, you've just skyrocketed, your branding's on point, your logo's on point, your website's on point, you're booking all the clients that all of us want to be booking, and you're walking into it with confidence and with clarity. And I think that speaks volumes as to just getting out there and taking the brave, messy action.
Absolutely. Like if I had to give like two big myth busting things, like one is around, they're both around money. One, invest some money in getting leads. The world is not going to crumble around you. And please, if it's part time, give it at least a year before you lock into whatever analytics you have. And if you're full time, 3 to 6 months, give something a shot, because that's just a quarter. That's 2 quarters. That could be a down season for your market. Like anyone, in business isn't really going to know what the seasons are and the markets are at least until a year or two. So you have some data to work off of. So Thumbtack Homebuyers are gonna have their little funky $300. Okay, the knowledge you're gaining from the process is so much more important to know where you're spending your, where's your return on interest. So don't be afraid to do what you need to do just because somebody in some other whole county or state is having a different experience with you. Don't let them scare you off of investing in your business. That's across the board in business in general.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, don't be afraid to do it how you want to do it. This is the most unregulated, lucrative field I've ever heard of. And I have been literally bashed in the comments for offering all the things that I offer. Like I don't even think everything is listed on the website. Like, I don't know if you even want the laundry list of things that I include within my service. And people are like, the luxury police. That's what I was calling them. The luxury police, like, oh my gosh, how could you possibly, like, we are a luxury service, and if you offer this, then blah blah blah. I'm like, have you never heard of white glove service? Like, people hire out for all those things. Doesn't, I don't know how else to explain it other than like luxury services doesn't mean you get necessarily to walk around bougie. The most luxury services are the least glamorous. So get dirty, do what you want to do, and let the luxury police do whatever they want to do. Because guess what? If somebody's paying you to do whatever it is you're doing, I don't care what it is, then it's valid to you. They're not paying you. So I don't,
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
nothing
And
to say.
I think with the Facebook groups, I was out of them for so long and I kind of just popped my head back into there like 3 or so months ago. And I have all the notifications turned off because I just can't deal with like that being my whole feed. And I was honestly about to delete my Facebook before any of that even happened. But I was like, well, I want to at least foster a sense of community there and be a resource. And, as you do, where you go in there and you're always offering value, you're always offering help. But some of the questions that come up are so from a place of like what you said with like Thumbtack and Home Advisor and Find My Organizer and all of these resources that we can all tap into. And there's so many questions like, did Find My Organizer work for you? I don't know. Set up your free account and see if it works
Like,
for you, and take the time that it took to write that question in that stupid Facebook group and go do
oh
it
my
on
gosh.
the
Because
website.
they're, oh, it's so funny because literally, like, so I'm not a big fan of like me personally coaching other people. That's why I live in the Facebook groups, to keep my finger on the pulse of the industry and to just give away information. But the one thing I have coached for before is the algorithms. Nobody talks about the algorithms. Thumbtack has an algorithm. I'm sure if I'm an organizer and a lineup will have their own deal, but like Home Advisor and Thumbtack is where I live and breathe. And if you play to the algorithm, then you're gonna get boosted. It's like having a cheat code for Zelda. Like, I don't, the nerd's coming out, but like, it honestly has. I mean, it has to do with like you have to have your foundations together. Like, you have a sales funnel of like, verbally or whatever the case may be. But if you do what the system wants you to do, not necessarily how you yourself want to function, then they will put you to the top of the list, and you'll get hired more. But it's so much more than just, did it work for someone else? It doesn't really matter. It
Yeah.
doesn't. Like,
Yeah.
everything is very individualized, and even if somebody lives next door to you, if you're doing the algorithm and the other person is great but not doing the algorithm, two entirely different experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think like with Thumbtack specifically, I know they're all about the response rate. And so, yeah, if you're doing this part time and you're like, I'm paying for Thumbtack leads and it's not working and wah, 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 and cry, cry, cry. And it's like, okay, but are you actively in the app? Are you actively bidding on the jobs that are coming your way? Are you actively reviewing the profiles of the people that are asking for your help? Are you actually telling
Mhm.
Thumbtack that you're an active user of the platform and you're actively booking leads off of it and getting those 5-star reviews and those rave reviews and repeat clients? Okay, then come to me and complain that it's not working or this and that and the other. And it's just, I think there's so much to be said for just taking the action. Like you said, it's like, just get out there, get messy. I remember paying for Yelp for 1 month because Yelp will call you literally every day until you pay them money.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, fine, I'm at my wit's end, I'm just going to do it. And I paid $300 or so for 1 month. And I was like, it's not working, I didn't get any lead. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing where you
Right.
have to give it time. You have to give
It's like
it like
SEO. It's like
yeah.
credit.
Yeah, you got to give it
Absolutely.
30, 60, 90 days, give it at least a quarter to perform for you. And not that I'm recommending Yelp, because there's probably better places that I would recommend my clients to advertise. But
Right.
that being said, if I could go back in time, I would have at least tried it for like 90 days and not just like cut off the faucet after the 30 days.
Right. And if nothing else, then you learn like what you don't want in a platform that you're paying money to give you, things for. And for anybody listening, because I feel like people are always like, oh, does it work for you? But then like they have no like starting point. But like Thumbtack, I always recommend as like a great starting point because it's the lowest price point of investment you do kind of get a return if somebody does respond to you. The trade-off is that you're not getting their personal information immediately. I personally prefer to just pay to have their email address or email, like physical address and phone number. But Thumbtack, completely fill out your profile with as much as humanly possible, every single option, fill it out completely and thoroughly, with more than like 20 words in each field, making sure you have at least 2 project photos. In a project could be 1 photo. You can have up to 10 outside reviews. So I don't care if you have family and friends go, they're a great person, I love Becky, she's awesome. Just put 5 stars on there to get started. And then obviously the response time. They say like within 4 hours. No, I'm talking like notifications on your phone, 30 seconds to 5 minutes at the very most. Like put in the, boots to ground, put in the annoying amount of work that it'll take in the beginning to establish that. And then talking about over time, it takes 6 months to become a top pro at the very minimum. So those are like the main aspects that they're looking for. And some people are like, oh, I'm responding fast. Yeah, but is your profile completely filled out? Have you taken advantage of your first 10 reviews? If you don't have 10 reviews, nobody, like, I don't even know how people get hired without that. And if it's basically free to put those reviews on there. So
it's the same as
that's
Yelp,
your
same
jump
as
off
Google.
point.
Yeah. And I think we all have 10 people, hopefully, in our lives, friends, family, past coworkers, neighbors. Hell, you could even, I'm not endorsing this, but I'm not going to also say that I haven't done this. Create a couple extra Yelp or Google accounts and write some reviews. Like, get scrappy. This isn't like, I'm going to sit here and wait for these 10 magical reviews to fall from the heavens. It's not what this is.
Right?
So
like, we're not hypothetically suggesting it, but like, how bad do you want it? For those of you, I'm a very facial expression type of person. So for those of you listening that's just like, oh, she's very dry and sarcastic, just know that she's getting a show over here on Zoom.
I know, I'm gonna probably put this one on YouTube just because it's been so animated from both of us. Just like, but clearly we're passionate about this field, you guys that are listening. Clearly, you have 2 alpha female boss bitches on this podcast today. So feel free to come to me or Brooke whenever you have a question or need just a kick in the butt to get you off the fence. So where can everyone find you, Brooke?
So the main place that I am interacting for, content purposes or behind the scenes type of things is Instagram, and it's just Brooke Knows Best Organizes. Pretty straightforward. On Facebook, I have a business page, but you're better to just join all the Facebook groups. You'll see me in there just popping in and out. But Brooke Knows Best - luxury organizing service. It won't let me change it. So I guess I just get to be uppity. And honestly, if you want to text the business line, it's 630-796-7966. Always looking for my friends, and I'll give it away for free just so people can be great. Like, honestly, just be great. We all win when we support each other. There's no such thing as competition.
Yes.
And I'll argue that with anyone.
Yes. Community over competition, and everybody has their piece of the pie, and everybody has their own specific niche, their own specific gift. I am not going to help the clients that the girl that lives down the street from me is going to help, and vice versa. So there is room for you in this industry, and get off the fence. Don't get stuck in living in, I need a certification in order to go and organize someone's home and change their life. So
exactly. If you don't take anything else away, take that. You couldn't have said it better myself. Just do it.
Thank you so much for being here, Brooke. It's been an amazing conversation, and I'm so happy that we connected, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having. I'm very excited to be able to be here. And honestly, just because I love you and like just overall great content, the first 5 people that reach out to me with questions and stuff, I'll give you a free 1 hour like coaching on or consulting on Thumbtack or Home Advisor.
Oh my
kind of help you get your toes wet.
That is so amazing. Okay, guys, head to brookeknowsbest.com to check out her website, and I'll put all of this information in the show notes below, and we will see you next Wednesday for another new episode.